Ase 1. The letter. Some secrets stay buried for a reason. My father taught me that. He taught me a lot of things actually before he walked out when I was 7 years old. How to tie my shoes, how to throw a baseball, how to disappear without saying goodbye. That last lesson stuck. I'm 35 years old now, and I haven't seen my father in 28 years. Haven't heard his voice. Haven't received a birthday card or a phone call or any acknowledgement that I even exist. For most of my life, I've been fine with that, more than fine. I built a good life without him, graduated from college, became a high school English teacher in Portland, Oregon, married a good man named David, had 2 beautiful kids who actually know their father. I didn't need Robert Castellano. I didn't want anything from him, which is why, when the letter arrived on a Tuesday morning in October, I almost threw it away without opening it. It came in a cream-colored envelope, expensive paper, the kind you find in boutique stationery stores. My name and address were typed, not handwritten. No return address. I stood in my kitchen, coffee mug in one hand, envelope in the other, morning light streaming through the windows. "What's that?" my husband David asked, coming downstairs in his work clothes, khakis, and a perpetually wrinkled button-down shirt. "Looks like a wedding invitation." "Aren't we too old to have friends still getting married?" I smiled. "Apparently not." But when I opened it, it wasn't a wedding invitation. It was a letter from a law firm in New York City. Morrison, Phillips and Associates. "Dear Ms. Castellano, we regret to inform you of the death of your father, Robert James Castellano, on September 28th. As executor of his estate, we request your presence at the reading of his will on October 15th at 2:00 p.m. at our offices in Manhattan. Your attendance is required as you are named as a beneficiary. Our deepest condolences, Gerald Morrison, Esq. I read it 3 times, each time feeling like I was reading about a stranger. Which I suppose I was. Emma, what is it?" I handed David the letter. He read it, his expression shifting from curiosity to concern. "Your father died." "Yes." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I haven't seen him since I was 7. "I know, but still, he was your father." "Was he? Is biology enough to earn that title?" I'd always thought fatherhood required showing up, being present, actually giving a damn. Robert Castellano had done none of those things. "Why would he leave me anything?" I asked. "Why would he even include me in his will?" "Maybe he wanted to make things right." 30 years too late for that. But David knew me well enough to see past my words. "You're going to go, aren't you?" I looked at the letter again. "I don't know. Part of me wants to throw this away and pretend it never came. But another part wants answers." "Yeah, wants answers." Over the next few days, I tried to ignore the letter. I went to work, taught my classes about Shakespeare and symbolism, graded papers, made dinner, helped my daughter Sophie with her algebra homework, drove my son Michael to soccer practice. Normal life? Safe life? But the letter sat on my kitchen counter, impossible to ignore. Finally, 3 days before the scheduled will reading, David sat me down at the kitchen table. "I think you should go. We've been over this. Just hear me out. You've spent your whole life wondering why he left, why he never came back, why you weren't enough. And now he's dead, and you'll never get answers from him directly. But maybe there's something in his will, something that will give you closure. Or maybe it's just money and guilt. Maybe. But don't you want to know for sure?" I looked at him, this good, steady man who'd never left, who showed up every single day, What if going makes it worse? What if I get there and it's just some lawyer going through paperwork and I realize he never actually cared? Then at least you'll know, and you can finally let go. He was right, I needed to know. So I booked a flight to New York. I arranged for David's mother to watch the kids. And on October 14th, I flew across the country to meet a dead man's lawyer. The offices of Morrison, Phillips and Associates were on the 42nd floor of a glass tower in Midtown Manhattan. The lobby was all marble and modern art and well-dressed people who looked important and busy. I felt completely out of place in my Target dress and Payless shoes. "Miss Castellano, Mr. Morrison is expecting you. Conference room B." I walked down a hallway lined with abstract paintings that probably cost more than my annual salary. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a view that should have been breathtaking but just made me feel small. There were 3 other people already in the room. A man in his 60s, silver-haired and distinguished, stood when I entered. "Ms. Castellano, I'm Gerald Morrison. Thank you for coming." "Emma, just Emma." "Emma, please, sit." I sat at the long conference table, suddenly aware that everyone was staring at me. The woman to my left was around my age, maybe a few years older, with dark hair pulled back in a severe bun, and eyes that catalogued everything about me in one glance. She wore a designer suit that screamed money and power. The man across from me was younger, early 20s, with messy brown hair and nervous energy. He wore jeans and a wrinkled button-down, looking as uncomfortable as I felt. At the head of the table sat another man, older, maybe 50, with expensive casual clothes and an air of controlled anger. "Now that we're all here," Mr. Morrison said, opening a leather portfolio, "we can begin. I appreciate you all traveling to be here today." "Can we just get on with it?" the woman in the designer suit said. "Some of us have actual work to get back to." "Of course, Ms. Castellano." "Wait, Ms. Castellano?" I looked at her. She looked back. "I'm sorry," I said slowly. "Did you say Castellano?" The woman turned to me. "Yes, Victoria Castellano. And you are?" "Emma Castellano." The room went very quiet. The young man across from me said, "What the hell?" Mr. Morrison cleared his throat. "Perhaps I should have explained this before we began. You are all here because you are all beneficiaries of Robert Castellano's estate. And you are all here because you are all his children." The words hung in the air like smoke. I stared at Victoria. She stared back. The young man said, "This is insane." The older man at the head of the table laughed bitterly. "This is perfect. Absolutely perfect." Mr. Morrison continued in his professional voice. "Robert Castellano had 4 children from 4 different relationships. None of you knew about each other. He kept you separate. And in his will, he chose to bring you all together." "This is a mistake," Victoria said sharply. "My father was Robert Castellano, CEO of Castellano Industries. He was married to my mother for 35 years. He had 1 child. Me. I don't know who these people are, but there's clearly been an error." "There's no error," Mr. Morrison said gently. "Your father maintained separate lives. He was extraordinarily careful about keeping them separate. But in his will, he's bringing you together." "Why?" I asked. "Why would he do that?" "Because of the inheritance. Your father's estate is worth approximately $47 million. And according to the terms of his will, you only inherit if all 4 of you agree to specific conditions." "What conditions?" the older man asked. Mr. Morrison pulled out a document. "You must spend 2 weeks together at his estate in upstate New York. During that time, you must get to know each other as family. At the end of 2 weeks, if all 4 of you agree to accept the inheritance and accept each other as family, you split the estate equally. If even one of you refuses, the entire estate goes to charity." Silence. Then Victoria laughed sharply. "This is a joke. This has to be a joke." "I assure you it's not. Your father was very serious." "He believed that his greatest failure was keeping you apart," Mr. Morrison continued. "And his final wish is to bring you together." "A little late for that," the young man muttered. "Who are you?" I asked him. He looked at me with pain in his eyes. Jake Castellano. I'm 23. I never met my father. My mom died when I was 16, and I've been on my own since then." My heart ached for him. I turned to the older man. "And you?" "Marcus Castellano, 52. Robert got my mother pregnant when they were both 19. She raised me alone while he went off to build his empire and pretend I didn't exist." His voice was bitter. "So if you're looking for someone to mourn the old man, you're looking at the wrong person." Victoria stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous. I'm not spending 2 weeks with strangers based on some manipulative last wish from a man who clearly lied to all of us. I have a life. I have a company to run." "Ms. Castellano," Mr. Morrison said, "I understand this is shocking, but we're talking about a substantial inheritance. I don't need his money. I have my own. And perhaps more importantly, the chance to know your siblings. They're not my siblings. They're strangers who share DNA. That's all." She headed for the door. $12 million, Mr. Morrison said quietly. "That's approximately what each of you would inherit. For Jake, that could mean finishing college, starting a life. For Emma, financial security for your children. For Marcus, perhaps some compensation for the childhood that was stolen." Victoria stopped, hand on the door handle. 2 weeks, that's all he's asking. 2 weeks to get to know each other. If at the end you all still want to walk away, then walk away. But at least you'll have tried. I thought about Sophie wanting to go to art school, about Michael's braces and David's student loans and our mortgage, about the 1,000 financial pressures that never quite went away. $12 million would change our lives. But was it worth 2 weeks with these strangers? "I'll do it," Jake said suddenly. "I don't have anything to lose, and honestly, I'd like to know if any of you knew him. If he was different with you." "Same," Marcus said, though his voice was hard. "I want to know what was so important that he couldn't be bothered to acknowledge his oldest son." They both looked at me. "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." We all turned to Victoria. She stood at the door for a long moment. Then she turned around. 2 weeks, she said. "And then I never want to see any of you again." Mr. Morrison smiled. "Excellent. The estate is ready. You're expected this Friday." As we filed out, Jake caught my eye and gave me a nervous smile. "I guess we're family now," he said. "I guess we are." But as I walked out into the chaos of Manhattan, I couldn't shake the feeling that my father had one more lesson to teach me. And this one was going to hurt. Act 2, The Estate. The Castellano estate was 3 hours north of Manhattan, nestled in the Hudson Valley among rolling hills and autumn trees blazing red and gold. The private road wound through dense forest before opening onto a vista that took my breath away. The mansion was gray stone, 3 stories, mullioned windows, ivy-covered walls. Gardens that clearly required full-time staff. A circular driveway with a fountain that wasn't running. I parked my rental car next to a black Mercedes, Victoria's probably, and a motorcycle that had to be Marcus's. I sat for a moment, staring at this monument to my father's life without me. He'd had this, wealth and luxury and this beautiful home. And he'd walked away from me to have it. My phone buzzed. David. You okay? Just got here. It's overwhelming. Remember, you can leave any time. I loved him for saying that. The front door opened and Jake stepped out, waving. This place is insane, he said when I reached the steps. I've been walking around for an hour. There's a library with first editions, a wine cellar, an indoor pool. I think I saw a tennis court. Where are the others? Victoria claimed the master bedroom and locked herself in. Marcus is in the den drinking whiskey. I think he's been here before. He knew where everything was. That caught my attention. He's been here before? That's what I thought too. Come on, I'll show you your room. We walked inside, marble floors, grand staircase, oil paintings, fresh flowers. Everything immaculate. The housekeeper's name is Mrs. Chen, Jake said. She's been here 20 years. She'll make dinner at 7. He showed me to a bedroom that was larger than my entire master at home. 4-poster bed, antique furniture, bathroom with a clawfoot tub. Windows overlooking gardens. Thanks, Jake. He lingered. This is weird, right? 4 days ago, I was working night shift at a gas station in Pittsburgh. Now I'm in a mansion with 3 siblings I didn't know existed. It's like a movie. I smiled. How old are you again? 23. Almost 24. You? 35. High school English teacher. Married. 2 kids. What are their names? Sophie, 11. Michael, 8. Do they know about all this? No. I told them it was a work trip. I didn't want to explain what I don't understand myself. We stood in awkward silence. I'm glad you're here, Jake said. This would be even weirder alone with just Victoria and Marcus. They're both so intense. They're angry. We're all angry. Are you? I thought about it. I don't know. Confused, sad, curious. Angry is probably in there somewhere. After he left, I called David and told him about the mansion, the siblings, the overwhelming strangeness of it all. At 7, I went downstairs to the formal dining room. The table seated 12. 4 places were set with fine china and crystal. Marcus was already there, glass of whiskey in hand, staring out the window. He'd changed into different expensive clothes. Emma, he said, without turning. You've been doing research, I said, noting how he knew my name. The lawyer gave me files on all of you. I'm a businessman. I don't like surprises. He turned. You're the only one with kids. That must make this harder. What makes you say that? Because you're here for them. The money. You probably need it more than the rest of us. And you don't? He smiled without warmth. I'm a real estate developer in Chicago. I'm not hurting. But I figured I'd come collect what the old man owed me. Call it back child support with interest. Victoria walked in then, transformed. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, silk blouse, tailored pants. She looked like she'd stepped out of Vogue. Good evening, she said coolly, taking the seat at the head of the table like she owned it. Victoria, I said. Emma. She turned to Marcus. Marcus. Princess. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me? You're acting like the princess of the castle. Figured I'd make it official. I'm acting like someone who belongs here. Unlike the rest of you, I grew up knowing my father. This is my family home. You're all just visitors. We're beneficiaries, Marcus said. Same as you. Jake arrived, breaking the tension. So, anyone want to talk about the weather? Very autumny. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Mrs. Chen appeared with salads. She was small, older, with kind eyes. "Mr. Castellano always loved this salad," she said. We ate in awkward silence until Victoria said, "Mrs. Chen, did you know about them?" Mrs. Chen's expression stayed neutral. It wasn't my place to know or not know. "That's a yes," Marcus said. "What was he like?" I asked gently. "My father?" Mrs. Chen looked at me, something soft entering her eyes. "Complicated, kind to staff, generous, but very private. He kept parts of his life separate, always." "Did he ever talk about us?" Jake asked quietly. Mrs. Chen hesitated. "He had photos in his study of all of you. He would look at them late at night when he thought no one was around." The room went silent. "He had photos of us?" I whispered. "Yes. Shall I bring them after dinner?" "Yes," all four of us said at once. After the perfect meal that no one really tasted, Mrs. Chen led us to the study. Wood-paneled, lined with bookshelves, massive desk, leather chairs. She opened a desk drawer and pulled out a large leather album. "He kept this locked, but he left instructions that if all of you came, you should see it." She left us alone. Victoria opened it slowly. The first page, Victoria as a little girl on a horse, beautiful, confident. Second page, Marcus as a teenager, school photo, serious. Third page, me at 7, gap-toothed, holding a spelling bee trophy. I remembered that day. How did he get this photo? Fourth page, Jake as a baby with his mother. Page after page. All of us at different ages. Birthdays, graduations, my wedding. All documented. He'd been watching. All this time. "I don't understand," Jake said, voice breaking. "If he cared enough to keep these, why didn't he just be there?" No one had an answer. Victoria closed the album. "There's a letter, addressed to all of us." She pulled it out and began reading. "My dear children, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've come as I hoped. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you'll let me explain. I met Victoria's mother when I was 21. We married young. Victoria was born. I loved Catherine, but I was restless, driven. I worked constantly, was never home. When Victoria was 3, I met Marcus's mother at a conference. We had an affair. When she got pregnant, I panicked. I offered money. She took it but told me to stay away. I wish I could say I learned, but I didn't. When Victoria was 10, my marriage was cold. I traveled constantly. In Seattle, I met Emma's mother. We had an affair. When she got pregnant, I considered leaving Catherine. But I couldn't face the scandal. So I walked away. And Jake, you were my greatest shame and deepest regret. I met your mother when I was 47. Michelle was young, 25. When she got pregnant, she wanted me to leave Catherine to finally choose my child over my reputation. And I couldn't do it. Why did I keep you separate? I was building an empire. I was terrified that if the truth came out, everything would crash down. So I built walls between my lives. But what I've learned in my final months, the things we build with dishonesty don't last. That's why I'm asking you to do what I never could. Spend 2 weeks together, get to know each other, see if you can find what I denied you, family. You're all remarkable. Victoria, brilliant and driven. Marcus, strong and self-made. Emma, compassionate and wise. Jake, resilient and brave. You're the best parts of me without the worst. At the end of 2 weeks, decide. Not just about money. Decide if being siblings is worth the pain of how you became siblings. I love you all. I always have. I'm sorry. Your father. Victoria's voice cracked on the last words. No one spoke. Finally, Jake said, "He loved us." He abandoned us, Marcus countered. Love requires presence. But he did care, Jake insisted. That's easy for you to say, Victoria snapped. You all got to hate him purely. But I knew him. I had him. Or I thought I did. Now I find out that while he was my father, he was creating all of you. Every day was a lie. Tears streamed down her face. Victoria, I started, don't. We're not family yet. We're just 4 people who share DNA and a dead liar. She left. Should someone go after her? Jake asked. Let her go, Marcus said. She needs to process. What do you think? Jake asked me. About the letter? I think he told us what he wanted us to know, but not everything. What do you mean? He said he kept us separate to protect his reputation. But that doesn't quite add up. There's something else. Something he's not telling us. Marcus nodded. I thought the same thing. He said to look around, Jake said. He said he left breadcrumbs. We started with the desk. In the bottom drawer, under a false bottom Marcus discovered, we found another album. Older photos, yellowed. Young Robert with Marcus's mother, clearly in love. Baby Marcus in Robert's arms. He was there, Marcus whispered. When I was a baby, he was actually there. More pages. Robert with my mother, with Jake's mother, holding us, present, involved. He was there for all of you, Victoria said from the doorway. She'd come back, tissues in hand. But never really for me. He was physically present but emotionally absent. I thought that was just him. But now I see. He was saving his emotion for all of you, the ones he couldn't have. She sat down, looking at the photos. If he was involved when we were babies, what changed? Marcus flipped to the last page. A newspaper clipping. Castellano Industries CEO under investigation for fraud. Dated 30 years ago. I remember this, Marcus said. SEC investigation. Securities fraud. Huge scandal. What happened? Jake asked. He got cleared, paid a fine. I read carefully. It says they were investigating his personal life too, looking for hidden assets, secret accounts. Understanding dawned. That's when he disappeared, I said. When the investigation started, he realized they might discover all of us. Discover the payments, so he cut us off to protect himself. That son of a bitch, Victoria said sadly. He chose his reputation over all of you. And never came back, Jake said. Even after it was over. We sat with that. There's more, I said, pointing. Look at the names they investigated. One jumped out. Catherine Ashford Castellano, wife. They investigated my mother too, Victoria said. What if she knew about us? I said. What if she was part of covering it up? Victoria went pale. No, she wouldn't. There's one way to find out, Marcus said. We ask her. She's dead, 3 years ago. Cancer. Then we keep looking. We searched for another hour but found nothing more. By midnight, exhausted, we went to bed. I lay awake thinking about the man in the photos who seemed happy and present, and the man who disappeared. My phone buzzed. David. How's it going? Complicated. Love you. Love you too. Kids miss you. I looked at the photo he sent, Sophie and Michael in pajamas waving. My real family. But these people here, they were family too. Whether I wanted them to be or not. And we had 12 more days to figure out what that meant. Acte 3, the pattern. Morning came with sunlight streaming through expensive curtains. I'd barely slept. Downstairs, Mrs. Chen had prepared breakfast, pastries, fruit, coffee, the kind requiring hours of early morning work. Good morning, Mrs. Mitchell. Emma, please. Have you seen the others? Mr. Marcus went running. Miss Victoria is in the library. Mr. Jake is still sleeping. I took my coffee to the library. 2 stories of floor-to-ceiling books, rolling ladder, leather chairs, the kind of quiet that only exists in rooms full of stories. Victoria sat by the window in silk pajamas, holding a book but not reading. "Morning," she said, looking younger without makeup. "Couldn't sleep?" "Not really. I've been thinking about my mother, about whether she knew." Victoria, "No, let me finish. I was 5 when the investigation happened. My memories are fragments, but I remember tension. Parents fighting behind closed doors. My mother crying once, which she never did. She looked at me. I think she knew about all of you, and she never told me. My whole life was a lie. Maybe she was protecting you." "From what? From the truth? From having siblings?" She laughed bitterly. "More likely protecting herself, protecting her image. My mother cared about appearances above everything." Marcus came in, sweaty from his run. "You're both up early?" "Couldn't sleep," Victoria and I said simultaneously, then smiled. "I did some thinking," Marcus said, "about the investigation, and I have a theory." "Which is?" "What if the investigation wasn't the only reason he disappeared? What if someone made him disappear?" Victoria sat up. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. He was being investigated. People were digging. What if someone discovered his secret families and used it as leverage?" Marcus looked at Victoria. "Your mother. That's insane." "Is it? She had the most to lose. Her perfect life, social standing, marriage. If the truth came out, she'd be humiliated." "You're speculating." "Am I? Mrs. Chen?" The housekeeper appeared quickly. "You were here during the investigation. Did Victoria's mother know about us?" Mrs. Chen's face became neutral. "It's not my place." "Please," Victoria said quietly. "I need to know." Mrs. Chen sighed. "Yes, Mrs. Castellano knew. She found out during the investigation. She discovered the payments, the secret accounts. She was devastated, furious." "What did she do?" I asked. "She gave him an ultimatum. Cut off all contact with his other children completely, or she'd divorce him and destroy everything. She'd go to the press, to investigators. She'd burn it all down unless he chose her and Victoria alone." Victoria's breathing became ragged. "And he chose her," she whispered. "No," Marcus said. "He chose his reputation. Your mother just gave him an excuse." Victoria stood abruptly. "I need air." She rushed out. I started to follow, but Marcus caught my arm. "Let her go." Jake appeared, still in pajamas. "What happened?" We told him. His face cycled through emotions. "So my mom died never knowing the real reason," Jake said quietly. "She blamed herself, and all along it was just some society woman's ultimatum." "Did he leave anything else?" I asked Mrs. Chen. She nodded. "A safe in the master bedroom, behind the sailboat painting. The combination is on the back of the family photo on his desk." We found the photo, turned it over, written in pencil, 07-15-92-23. "Our birthdays," I breathed. Compressed. July 15th, September 2nd, September 23rd, February 11th. We went upstairs. Victoria returned, determined despite her tears. The painting revealed a wall safe. Marcus entered. 07-15-92-23. It clicked open. Inside, metal box, laptop, manila envelopes with our names. And one marked "Open Together." Marcus opened that one, USB drive and a note. "If you found this, you've discovered your grandmother's role." Catherine wasn't a villain. She was protecting what was hers. But it cost all of you dearly. The USB contains a video. Watch it together. Then open your individual envelopes. I love you all. Dad Jake plugged in the drive. Our father appeared on screen, older, thinner, clearly sick. Recorded in this very room. Timestamp, June. Hearing his voice was a punch to the gut. My children, if you're watching this, you've come further than I expected. You found the albums, learned about the investigation, about Catherine's ultimatum. Now you deserve the rest. Everything in my letter was true, but not complete. The complete truth is, I was being blackmailed. We leaned closer. During the investigation, someone discovered not just my family's, but something worse. I'd been embezzling from my own company for years. Not for me, for all of you. The support payments, investigators, secret accounts. I couldn't explain those expenses without revealing my family's. So I took money from the company. It was fraud, real fraud. Oh my God, Victoria breathed. The person who discovered this was my business partner, Gerald Morrison. Marcus hit pause. The lawyer, the one who called us to New York. We stared at each other. Marcus hit play. Gerald threatened to expose both secrets unless I gave him half my company. If I refused, I'd go to prison and you'd all be dragged into scandal. So I agreed. For 28 years, he's gotten richer off my work. But I kept records. Every conversation, every threat, every illegal thing. It's all documented in the safe. By now, Gerald knows you're at the estate. He thinks he's controlling the situation. He'll probably contest the will, claim the estate, use some loophole. But you're smarter. You found this video. You have the evidence. Now you choose. Take that evidence to the police and SEC. Destroy Gerald Morrison and reclaim your inheritance, or walk away. I hope you choose to fight. Not for me, but for each other. Because family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. It's about fighting for each other. I never showed up for you. But maybe you can show up for each other. The video ended. That bastard, Marcus said. Morrison's been blackmailing our father for 3 decades, and now he controls our inheritance. He wrote the will terms, I said. 2 weeks, unanimous agreement. He knew we'd be strangers. He knew we'd probably fail. Then the estate goes to charity, probably shell companies he controls. We need those documents, Victoria said, moving to the safe. She pulled out the metal box. Inside, hundreds of pages, bank records, recordings, emails, a paper trail spanning decades. This could put him away for life, Marcus said. Securities fraud, blackmail, embezzlement. We need to get this to authorities, I said. Before he realizes we know, Victoria added. If he suspects, he'll run. What if we set a trap, Jake said. Make him think we're giving up, that we hate each other and we're walking away. He'll get confident, maybe make a mistake. Then we spring the evidence, Marcus finished with a grim smile. But first, Victoria said, holding up our individual envelopes. We read these. We took our envelopes to private spaces. Mine said, Emma, you became a teacher to give young people what I never gave you. Guidance, presence. You're better than I ever was. This money isn't payment. It's seed money. I know you've always wanted to start a literacy program for underprivileged kids. Now you can. Please tell Sophie and Michael about me. Not the man who abandoned you, but the man who watched and was so proud. Love, Dad. Tears streamed down my face. When we reconvened, we were all crying. He knew about my music, Jake said. Left me money for music school. Said I have talent. He knew I wanted to expand internationally, Marcus said. Left me contacts, partnerships already arranged. He left me the company, Victoria said quietly. His half of Castellano Industries. Said I should take what he built and make it ethical, fix his mistakes. We looked at each other, strangers becoming something more. So what do we do? Jake asked. We fight, Victoria said firmly. We take down Morrison, get justice, and then we decide if we want to be family, I finished. Deal, they all said. We spent the day planning. Marcus knew corporate law. Victoria knew the company. I organized information. Jake was brilliant with technology. By evening, we had a plan. Tomorrow, we'd spring the trap. Act 4, the trap. Next morning, Victoria called Morrison's office, her voice perfectly cold and brittle. Mr. Morrison, I'm calling to inform you that the four of us can't do this. We've spent 3 days together and we're strangers. This forced reunion is a failure. Morrison's voice through the phone. Oily, pleased. I'm sorry to hear that, though not surprised. Your father's wishes were unrealistic. We want to discuss options. Can we meet today? At the estate? Of course. 3 p.m.? Perfect. She hung up. He's coming. He thinks he's won. Good, Marcus said. We spent the morning preparing. Marcus called FBI contacts. Victoria reached out to uncorrupted board members. Jake set up hidden cameras throughout the library. I organized evidence into an undeniable presentation. At 3 p.m. exactly, Morrison's Mercedes arrived. He looked distinguished, professional. But now I saw the predator beneath. We'd staged the library perfectly. Victoria alone, frustrated. Marcus and I in opposite corners, not speaking. Jake by the window, isolated. Mrs. Chen showed Morrison in. Thank you for coming, Victoria said, acting impeccable. Of course, I understand you've reached an impasse? That's putting it mildly. Marcus played his bitter role. I want to go home to my kids, I added. This isn't worth the stress. I never knew my father anyway, Jake said sullenly. Why should I care? Morrison settled into a chair, pleased. I understand. These exercises rarely work. Your father's heart was in the right place, but unrealistic. So what happens now? Victoria asked. If you can't fulfill the terms, the estate goes to the Castellano Foundation for Children's Education. Which charity exactly? Marcus asked casually. Your father established it years ago? Funny, I said. I looked it up. It doesn't provide any services, just exists on paper. Morrison's smile didn't falter, but his eyes sharpened. Administrative details? Oh, I understand perfectly, Victoria said, voice hardening. I understand it's a shell corporation. You're the sole trustee. Money going there goes straight into your pocket. Morrison stood. I don't have to listen. Sit down, Gerald, Marcus said with steel. Jake pressed his phone. The wall lit up with projection. Our father's face appeared. Gerald, if you're watching this, I'm dead, and you're trying to steal from my children. I documented everything, every threat, every illegal transaction. The evidence is in the safe. My children will find it, because unlike you, they're family. And family protects each other. You should have learned that. The video ended. Morrison went pale. Those are old recordings, he said weakly. They prove nothing? Actually, they prove everything, Victoria said, pulling out documents. Bank records showing 30 years of embezzlement. Recorded conversations where you explicitly threatened my father. Email trails proving you've been stealing from Castellano Industries. We have testimony from Mrs. Chen, I added. She witnessed your blackmail, already gave a statement to FBI. Who, Marcus said, checking his watch, should be arriving right about now. Cars pulled up outside. Morrison lunged for the door, but Jake blocked it. "You can't do this," Morrison said, desperate now. "That company should be mine. I built it as much as him. I deserve—" "You deserve prison," Victoria said coldly. FBI agents entered with lawyers, investigators, board members. "Gerald Morrison, you're under arrest for securities fraud, embezzlement, blackmail, conspiracy." They handcuffed him. He screamed about injustice as they led him away. The library went quiet. Board member Eleanor Bancroft approached Victoria. "On behalf of the board, thank you. We've suspected Morrison for years. You've saved the company." "It wasn't just me," Victoria said. "It was all of us." Eleanor looked at us. "Your father would be proud." After everyone left, we sat in exhausted silence. "We did it," Jake said. "Now what?" I asked. Victoria walked to the window. "Now we decide. We have 9 days left. Do we stay, try to actually become family? Or take our money and leave?" "The inheritance is secure," Marcus said. "Morrison can't steal it. We'll get it regardless." "So this isn't about money anymore," I said. "It never was," Jake said quietly. "For me, anyway, 12 million is life-changing. But having siblings, having family, that's even more life-changing." We looked at Victoria, the most resistant, most hurt. She turned from the window. "I spent my whole life thinking I was my father's only child. Finding out about all of you broke something, made me question everything. But these past days, fighting together, watching Marcus's strength, Emma's compassion, Jake's optimism, I realized something. My father was a coward and liar. But he gave me something valuable. He gave me you three. I don't want to go back to being an only child. So yes, I want to stay. I want to try." "Me too," I said immediately. "Same," Marcus said. "Absolutely," Jake added. "Then it's decided," Victoria said. "We stay, we become family." "But first," Marcus said, "we make a promise. No more secrets, no more lying. If we're family, we do it honestly." "Agreed," we all said. We spent the evening talking, really talking, not about inheritance or our father, but ourselves, our lives, hopes, fears. Victoria told us about her failed engagement, choosing work over love and regretting it. Marcus talked about his divorce and his teenage daughter he was rebuilding relationship with. Jake admitted he feared wasting the inheritance. I talked about fears I wasn't a good enough mother, that I was repeating our father's mistakes by working too much. And we listened, really listened. By midnight, we were exhausted, emotional, and somehow happy. "I'm calling my kids tomorrow," I said. "Tell them about all of you." "I want to meet them," Victoria said. "I've never been an aunt." "My daughter would love you," Marcus said. "She's 16, obsessed with business. You'd be her hero." "Can we make this regular?" Jake asked. "After 2 weeks, can we still see each other?" "Yes," I said firmly. "Holidays, birthdays, random weekends. We show up for each other." "To showing up," Victoria said, raising her wine glass. "To showing up," we echoed. But as we clinked glasses, I felt like there was still one more secret. One more revelation waiting, and I was right. Aced 5, the revelation. But at least I'll die knowing I gave you something that matters. Silence fell over the cottage. Then Marcus said, "I hate you." Our father nodded. "I know. I hate you for leaving, for watching from a distance, for choosing your reputation over your children, for being a coward." "I know." "But," Marcus's voice broke. "But I also understand you now, and I think maybe that's a start. Not forgiveness, but understanding." Victoria stepped forward. "I'm angry at you. I'll probably be angry until the day you die. Maybe after." "That's fair." But these three, she gestured at us. They're the best thing that ever happened to me, and I only have them because of you. So I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to be angry and grateful at the same time. You don't have to choose, our father said. Emotions aren't either or. You can be both. I found myself stepping forward. I spent 30 years wondering why I wasn't enough, why you left, what I did wrong, and now I know. It wasn't about me. It was never about me. It was about you and your choices and your mistakes. And that should make me feel better, but it just makes me sad. Sad for all of us, for all the years we lost. I'm sorry, our father whispered. I'm so sorry. Jake was the last to speak. He approached the wheelchair, looking down at this stranger who was also the reason he existed. I never knew you. Not really. My mom told me stories, but they were just stories. So I don't know if I can hate you or love you or anything in between. You're just the guy who gave me life and then left. I know. But you also gave me them. Jake looked at us. You gave me Victoria, who's brilliant and fierce and secretly kind. You gave me Marcus, who's strong and protective and loyal. You gave me Emma, who's compassionate and wise and makes me feel like things will be okay. And that's not nothing. That's actually everything. Our father reached out a shaking hand. After a moment, Jake took it. Thank you, our father said, for understanding what I never could. That family is about showing up. And you're all showing up now, for each other. We stood there for a while, none of us knowing what to do next. Then Victoria said, So what happens now? Do we just leave? Go back and pretend this didn't happen? Or, our father said carefully, You could stay, not for me, but for each other. You still have a week left. You could use it to actually be family. Have dinners together, share stories, learn about each other, and I could be nearby, not involved, just nearby. So when I'm actually gone, you'll have some memories. Not many. Not enough, but some. We looked at each other. I vote we stay, Jake said. Same, I said. Agreed, Marcus added. We all looked at Victoria. She was quiet for a long moment. On one condition. Anything, our father said. You tell us everything, every secret, every lie, every hidden truth. No more mysteries, no more surprises. Just honesty. Deal. So we stayed. Act 6, the beginning. For the next 7 days, we lived together at the estate like a real family. We had dinners together, all 5 of us when our father was strong enough. We went through old photo albums. We told stories. We learned. Our father kept his promise. He told us everything. About growing up poor in Queens. About meeting Catherine and feeling like he'd won the lottery. About building his business and becoming addicted to success. About each of our mothers and how he'd genuinely loved them all in different ways. About the compromises and lies and moments where he could have chosen differently but didn't. It wasn't comfortable. There were arguments and tears and moments where one of us needed to leave the room. But there was also laughter and connection and the slow, painful growth of something that might eventually become forgiveness. We learned about each other too. I told them about teaching, about the student who'd written me a letter saying I'd saved his life by believing in him when no one else did. Marcus talked about his daughter Zoe, about their rocky relationship after his divorce, about how he was trying to be the father to her that our father never was to him. Jake played guitar for us one evening, his voice raw and beautiful, singing songs he'd written about loss and hope. Victoria opened up about the pressure of running a company, about being a woman in a male-dominated industry, about the loneliness of success. On the fourth day, we brought our families to the estate. David drove up with Sophie and Michael. Marcus's daughter, Zoe, arrived from Chicago. Jake's girlfriend, Mia, came from Pittsburgh. Victoria remained alone but seemed less lonely, surrounded by all of us. Sophie and Michael were shy at first, but Jake won them over by teaching them card tricks. Zoe and Victoria bonded over business strategy. Mia helped Mrs. Chen in the kitchen and charmed everyone with her stories about Jake's attempts at cooking. "Is that really our grandfather?" Michael asked me, pointing at the cottage where our father spent most of his time now, too weak to come to the main house. "Yes, sweetheart." "Can we meet him?" I looked at David. He squeezed my hand. "Your choice." I took the kids to the cottage. Our father was in his wheelchair by the window, oxygen mask on, looking frailer than ever. But when he saw Sophie and Michael, his face transformed. "My grandchildren," he whispered, taking off the mask. "Hi," Sophie said quietly. "I'm Sophie. This is Michael." "You're beautiful," our father said, tears streaming down his face. "You're both so beautiful." "Mom says you were gone for a long time," Michael said, with the bluntness of an 8-year-old. "But now you're here. Why?" Our father looked at me. I nodded. "Tell them the truth." "Because I was afraid," he said simply. "I made mistakes, and then I was too scared to fix them. So I hid. And hiding meant I missed knowing your mom as she grew up. I missed her wedding to your dad. I missed you being born. I missed everything that mattered." "That's sad," Sophie said. "It is sad, very sad. But you know what makes it a little better?" "What?" "Knowing that your mom is an amazing person despite me. Not because of me. And that she's raising you to be amazing too. That's the best thing I could hope for." They stayed for an hour, telling him about school and soccer and art class. He listened like it was the most important information in the world. Which I suppose, to him it was. That night, I found Victoria on the terrace overlooking the gardens, glass of wine in hand. "Your kids are great," she said. "Thanks. I'm terrified I'm screwing them up." "You're not. They're confident and kind and funny. You're doing something right." I sat beside her. "Are you okay with all of this?" She was quiet for a moment. "I'm realizing something. I spent my whole life trying to be enough for a man who was never really there, even when he was standing right in front of me. I built my entire identity around being his daughter, his heir, his success story. And when I found out about all of you, it broke that identity. I didn't know who I was if I wasn't his only child. And now? Now I'm realizing I can be whoever I want to be, not his daughter, not defined by his absence or his presence. Just me, Victoria, who happens to have 3 amazing siblings and a company to run and a life to figure out." "That sounds healthy," she laughed. "It sounds terrifying, but also kind of exciting." Marcus joined us, followed by Jake. We sat together in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky gold and pink. "What happens after this?" Jake asked. "After the 2 weeks? After he's gone?" "We show up," I said. "For each other. We make this real." "I want Thanksgiving together," Victoria said. "All of us, here at the estate, make it a tradition." "Christmas too," Marcus added. "Zoe would love that, a big family Christmas." "And birthdays," Jake said. "We missed 30 years of birthdays. We should start celebrating them." "Deal," we all said. On the 7th day, our father called us to the cottage. He looked worse, barely able to stay awake. "I need to tell you something," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "The real will, not the fake one for Morrison. It's different." We leaned closer. "You don't each get 12 million. You each get 5 million. "Where's the rest?" Victoria asked. "Charity, real charity. Foundations for literacy, for foster children, for single mothers. The causes that matter because I failed them." He looked at each of us. "I'm also leaving you the company, not just Victoria. All 4 of you. Equal shares. Equal say. You'll have to work together, show up for each other, be family." "That's manipulative," Victoria said, but she was smiling. "It is, but you're all brilliant. You'll figure it out. And maybe you'll build something better than I ever did." That night, our father had a stroke. By morning, he was unconscious. 3 days later, he died. For real this time. We buried him in the estate cemetery next to his parents. All 4 of us spoke at the funeral. We didn't lie. We didn't pretend he was perfect. But we acknowledged that he'd given us each other. And that was worth something. The funeral was small, just us, our families, Mrs. Chen, and a few business associates. No press. No fanfare. Just a quiet goodbye to a complicated man. After everyone left, the 4 of us stood by the grave. "Should we say something?" Jake asked. "Like what?" Marcus said. "I don't know. Something final?" Victoria spoke first. "You were a terrible father, but you gave me the best siblings. I'll work on forgiving you for the first part because of the second part." Marcus went next. "You abandoned me, but you taught me how to be a better man by showing me exactly what not to do. Thank you for that, I guess." My turn. "You broke my heart when I was 7 years old, but you put it back together by bringing me these 3 people. I'm not sure we're even yet, but we're closer." Jake finished. "I never knew you, but I know them now, and that's enough." We stood in silence for a moment longer, then Victoria said, "Let's go home." And we walked back to the house together. As a family. 3 months later, I stood in the kitchen of the estate, our estate now, preparing for our first Thanksgiving together. David was helping Mrs. Chen with the turkey. Sophie and Michael were setting the enormous dining room table. Music drifted from the library where Jake was playing guitar for Mia and Zoe. Marcus arrived with his daughter, arms full of wine and desserts. "Sorry we're late. Traffic from Chicago was insane." "You're fine. Victoria's not even here yet." As if on cue, Victoria's Mercedes pulled up. She got out, and I did a double take. She wasn't alone. "Everyone," Victoria said, walking in with a man about her age. "This is David, not your David." She nodded at my husband. "My David, we met at a conference last month. I thought it was time to stop letting work be my only relationship." We all stared. Then Marcus started clapping. Then we all were, and Victoria was laughing and blushing and looking happier than I'd ever seen her. Dinner was chaotic and loud and perfect. 14 people around the table that had once seated 4 strangers. Kids laughing, adults talking over each other, Mrs. Chen beaming as everyone praised her cooking. After dinner, Victoria stood and tapped her wine glass. "I want to propose a toast. 3 months ago, we were strangers forced together by a dead man's manipulation. We had every reason to hate each other, to take the money and run. But we didn't. We chose each other. We chose to show up, and I am grateful every single day that we did." She raised her glass. "To family. Not the one we were born into, but the one we chose." "To family," we echoed. Later, after everyone had gone to bed, the four of us sat in the library, like we had that first night. But this time, there was no tension, no anger, just comfort. "I have news," Marcus said. "The company's Q3 numbers just came in. We're up 30% since we took over from Morrison and implemented Victoria's restructuring plan." "It's all of our plan," Victoria corrected. "You handled the finances. Emma restructured our charitable giving. Jake modernized our entire tech infrastructure." "We're a good team," I said. "We're more than a team," Jake said. "We're family." My phone buzzed. A message in our group chat, the Castellano 4, from Zoe. "Thanks for today. Best Thanksgiving ever. Love you all." Victoria showed us a message from her David. "Your family's amazing. Thank you for letting me be part of it." Marcus pulled out a folded paper. "I wrote something. I wasn't sure if I should share it, but I wrote our father a letter. Things I never got to say." "Read it," Victoria said gently. Marcus unfolded the paper and began. "Dear Dad, you died 3 months ago. Really died, I mean. The second time. And I've been carrying around anger for so long, I forgot it was there. It was just part of me. Part of who I was. Marcus, the abandoned son. Marcus, the one who wasn't chosen. But something's changing. I'm not sure if it's forgiveness. I don't think I'm ready for that. But it's something softer. Something like understanding. You were broken. Your choices broke all of us. But your final choice, bringing us together, that's fixing us. Slowly. Painfully. But it's working. I have a sister now, 2 sisters and a brother. I have family, Thanksgivings, and Christmas plans, and people who call me just to talk. I have nieces and nephews. I have people who show up. You never showed up, but you taught us how important it is to show up, by showing us what happens when you don't. So I guess what I'm saying is, thank you, and damn you, and I miss you, and I'm glad I never have to see you again. And I wish I could tell you about Thanksgiving, about how happy your grandkids are, about how Victoria smiled at dinner, about how Emma's teaching me to be better with Zoe, about how Jake makes us all laugh. You would have loved this, the family you created, the family you never let yourself have. I hope wherever you are, you can see us. See that we did what you couldn't. We chose each other. Marcus." By the time he finished, we were all crying. "That was beautiful," Victoria said. "He'd be proud," I added. "Would he?" Jake asked. "Be proud?" "Yes," Victoria said, with certainty. "He would be, because we're better than he was. And I think in the end, that's what he wanted most." We sat together until the fire burned low. Then Victoria said, "Same time next month? Chicago? Marcus, you promised to cook." I did promise that, didn't I? I immediately regretted it. "We'll help," I said. "Family cooking disaster. It'll be fun." "We're making this work," Jake said, sounding almost surprised. "We're actually making this work." "Of course we are," Victoria said. "We're Castellanos. We're stubborn, determined, and too proud to fail." "And we show up," Marcus added. "And we show up," we agreed. As I drove home that night, David sleeping in the passenger seat, kids in the back, I thought about my father, about his life of secrets and walls and careful compartmentalization, about how he'd kept us all separate, afraid that connection would destroy everything he'd built. He'd been wrong. Connection was what built everything that mattered. I looked at my family in the car. Then I thought about my other family, Victoria and Marcus and Jake, and the life we were building together. My father had spent his life building walls. We were spending hours tearing them down, and that, I thought, was the best inheritance he could have given us. Not the money, not the company, but the knowledge that family is a choice you make every day. A choice to show up, a choice to be present, a choice to love even when it's hard. He'd taught us that lesson by failing at it himself, and we'd honor him by succeeding where he'd failed, by being the family he never was, by showing up, always showing up.